The Megalodon. A giant ancient shark that died out around 2.6 million years ago. Fossil evidence suggests it was found across the planet, and at 60 foot long, it was the biggest shark, in fact, the biggest fish of all time. But what happened to the Megalodon? And why doesn't it exist today? Based on their estimated size, it is thought that they needed to eat 2,500 pounds of food every day just to survive. That's the equivalent of 2 entire cows, or 10,000 quarter-pounders. It's thought that the main driver of their disappearance was that they ran out of food. As the Great Ice Age approached and Earth cooled, shifting tectonic plates were also beginning to close the ancient seaways that used to exist between continents. This altered the currents in the ocean, disrupting the movements and feeding patterns of many of the huge animals alive at the time. The reliable populations of prey the Megalodon depended on, like whales and other marine mammals, started declining, possibly as part of these climatic changes. At the same time, smaller predatory sharks, including the ancestors of modern great whites, were becoming better competitors, meaning the Megalodon probably just couldn't catch enough food to sustain itself. Because when you're as big as 2 London buses, you can't survive on sardines. As we see with modern animals facing declines or extinction, their numbers would have gradually dwindled until there weren't enough individuals to sustain a viable population. By 2.6 million years ago, shortly after ancient hominids began to use stone tools, the biggest fish to ever stalk the oceans had vanished, never to be seen again. Most of what we know about the Megalodon comes from what we can piece together from its dentistry, or the bite marks left on the preserved fossils of its victims. All sharks have skeletons made of cartilage rather than bone, so unlike dinosaurs, most of their bodies decompose after they die. The only parts that are hard enough to be preserved well are their tough, calcified teeth, although some fossil vertebrae have also been found. Additionally, paleontological sites such as one in Panama have provided clues to the distribution and behaviour of these animals. Large numbers of teeth from young megalodons have been found here, suggesting that they congregated in nurseries just like modern sharks. Our oceans are vast, and there's still so much we don't know about them. Humans love to tell stories, and cultures across the world carry rich collections of old tales and folklore, of things lurking in the dark, just out of view. These were ways to explain the unexplainable. Before we knew more about the Megalodon, people used to think that the giant fossil teeth they came across were the petrified tongues of dragons. Today, the prospect of Megalodon still prowling 21st century seas has proven irresistible to the modern folklore of the message board, placing it alongside other myths and legends like mermaids, Sasquatch, and the Loch Ness Monster. Sometimes, creatures thought lost in the depths of time have re-emerged. The most famous example of this is the coelacanth, a fish known in the fossil record and thought to have been extinct for several million years. But in 1938, one was discovered in a fisherman's catch off the coast of South Africa, with even more turning up since then. So it can be tempting to think that the Megalodon is still out there. It was an incredible animal that ruled the oceans unthreatened by anything else. But we have no evidence to support it having survived, and the world we live in now is drastically different to what it was when the Megalodon patrolled the seas, due in no small part to what human activity has done to every environment on Earth. In the last century, we've lost 80% of fish biomass in our world's oceans, and this is still accelerating. With our never-ending appetite for seafood, there's barely enough fish left to support the sharks we have today, let alone a giant one with a 9-foot mouth. Climate change, driven by human activity, is not only altering ocean temperatures, but their very chemical makeup as well. As predatory sharks are often apex predators, they are affected when these changes impact on the food chain. Lack of food and a changing climate are both things the Megalodon had to cope with. But modern sharks are also being actively hunted by the planet's top predator, us. Millions of sharks are hunted annually, with an estimated 73 million caught for their fins alone, as in some cultures, these are considered a delicacy. They're also often caught accidentally by commercial fishermen, as well as being impacted by habitat destruction and degradation. Sharks grow slowly, take much longer to mature, and have fewer babies than other types of fish, which means that they find it a lot harder to adapt to changes. If we don't act soon to protect them, we could find ourselves in a world where all sharks are as extinct as the Megalodon. But there are reasons to be hopeful. According to authorities, shark fin consumption has fallen by around 80% in China since 2011. Nations around the world are also committing to protect marine environments and to fish sustainably. The Megalodon was an amazing, powerful animal and is an incredible part of our planet's history. But that's all it is now, history. It died out because environmental changes and competition meant it couldn't catch enough food to sustain itself, and with the state of our oceans today, there's little evidence to believe it'd fare any better now. New finds mean that we're still making discoveries about how it lived, its life cycle and its evolution. Our understanding continues to grow, keeping scientists and researchers debating every aspect of how this animal lived and what it was like. In years to come, who knows how much more we'll discover about it?